Hello, everyone. Good evening, and welcome to the Ode to Gran Turismo, our running series or league race, you might call it, between the top sim racers in the country. Uh, I've also a couple of people with me in the commentary box today. We'll get to introducing them in the meantime. But wanted to talk to you about the race today. We are racing at Circuit de Sainte Croix, as Super GT might call it, and it is going to be an exciting race. There are a lot of strategies on offer. As usual, the guys are driving the Group 3 car that they chose at the beginning of the league. The ODE to Gran Turismo series is our send-off to Gran Turismo Sport before Gran Turismo 7 comes out in a couple of weeks. Today we're racing with Group B. The guys are already out onto the track for qualifying. I'm joined today, as usual, by the Ancient Pleb and also our guest commentator, Vedant, who you might know as Super Vedu. Guys, say hi.
Hello, guys. Welcome back for our third race this time. So we're at Circuit Sainte Croix this time, and it's going to be quite an exciting race because this track is quite long, and we should see some good strategies. So it's going to be quite interesting.
Absolutely.
Hey guys.
Hi, Vedant. So people who know Super Vedu, he's also racing in the league in Group A,
Yep.
and he is kind of donating his time today, just talking about the Group B drivers. Because if you guys are if you're not familiar with this, when we started the league, we had a qualifying session that divided the racers into two separate groups. Based on their qualifying time at Brands Hatch. So the top guys are in Group A, and we have some of the newer folks and some experienced folks as well in Group B. So because these drivers are very closely matched, we are getting some exciting racing going. For the past 2 weeks that we have done this. This is the third round. Super Vedu, tell us about your thoughts on the race. You've driven on this track. You've practiced a lot for your own race as well. What kind of strategies do you think we'll see today?
Hey Abhi, it's really nice to be with you guys today. I'm looking forward to a very exciting race because there are like amazing cars today, and you never know what can happen. So strategy will be the key, single stop or two stopper. But I'm hoping for an exciting race today. Let's see how it goes today.
Yep,
Absolutely.
definitely.
Pleb, you've set some blistering times on this track as well. We're looking at the wildest monk. I think he's gonna go for a push lap.
He's
He just went into the
he's going
pits.
for a tire
So
change.
I think we should not
Yep.
speculate on who might go for a push lap or not, at least for right now. We're looking at Tyson, who is a very new entry into this series. I think he's going to go for a push lap.
He's going for a hot lap.
Yeah, Junior right behind him in the Nissan. He's gonna go for a push lap as well. So we'll keep alternating between these drivers, see what these guys are up to. What are your thoughts in terms of the cars and the overall pace that's on here?
I think this track would suit cars that have like a good top end because it has quite a lot of straights, and also cars I think which are stable around fast corners. So I think if we look at some of the guys here, for example, I think Monk is on the AMG, and the AMG I would say is quite average in terms of top line speed and cornering speeds. So I think he should be safe if he's behind someone. I think the go-to car would probably be the GTR. Let's see if anyone is on the GTR. Yes, I think Junior is on the GTR. So the GTR, I think, would be a very preferred choice, a common choice for everyone on this track, because it has good straight line speeds, good top end, and it corners pretty well as well. And I think it's safe to say it's good on fuel and tires. So yeah, I think the car selection is important. There are certain cars, I think maybe the Porsche might be a bit underpowered for this, as well as the Peugeot RCZ. So yeah, I think we should have a good race if people are bunched together.
Absolutely, my thoughts as well, because the track has such long straights that even if you're in an underpowered car like the Porsche, if you're able to stay in the slipstream, I think you have a very good
Exactly.
opportunity, because that car has amazing stability. It's very, very good on fuel. So, when the corners do come, the Porsche tends to, get a better exit out of the corners. It can brake a little bit later as well. That's a very good point for that car.
Yep.
Obviously, it's lacking in top speed, but if you get someone in front of you who can provide some additional bit of slipstreaming, absolutely. So we're also looking at you're also looking at the chat. Shehbaz says it's a 5x on the tires today. That is correct. The tire wear is a little bit higher because obviously we want to force people into different strategies so that there's a lot of excitement throughout the race. Dan Lord asks the question, Monk or Zolo on pole. Oh, it's really too close. I don't think you can. I mean, Monk has been performing really, really well during the practice sessions, so it's going to be interesting to see where he lands up.
He has been setting quick times as well. And I think Vedu, during practice, I think you were on the GTR as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So how did you feel with the GTR on this track?
GTR is pretty good actually. I mean, I was doing 325s. 326 I think it's a good time in a GTR. The fuel can be an issue. 2 stops, I feel, is faster in a GTR. 1 stop, lot of fuel saving, and it could get a bit risky with 1 stop. So GTR is good, but I do have some hopes on Zolo today because that's an exciting car he's driving. The Mazda is pretty fast.
The Mazda.
Yeah,
and it's also quite good on fuel as well, right? So let's see what strategies these guys go with, because I think during practice I did a 2-stopper and I felt that was quick. Maybe guys might
we have our
fast.
We have the first times coming in. Bukaran in the Porsche does a 330, which is matched by Crispy Bacon and Fiersby. So the times are rolling in.
Sitting in times.
Right,
yep.
So it's a 327.9 for Fiersby in the Supra. Crispy Bacon does a, what was that, a 329.2? Which is a good time. I think the Group A guys are aiming for something around a 325, 326. So and Sushi just does a 326.5 as well.
That's a good lap.
That's the time to beat, not just for the other guys, but for this guy, the Wildest Monk as well, who is on his hot lap.
Hot lap.
Vedu, why don't you take us through Monk's hot lap?
Yeah. So at this time, he needs to have a good exit, because if he spins the car, then this stretch is completely ruined. And here, around 150, around 100, the braking point, he should be in 3rd gear, I guess. Yeah, get a good exit again. And 4th, okay, he's still in 3rd. He shifted to 2nd. I usually take this in 3rd, but yeah, it's fine. Then we have a series of S turns, so it's a left-hander and then a right-hander again. 3rd gear, okay, he goes to 2nd. Junior kick is slightly hit, but I think he was fine there. It's a right-hander, then a left-hander again, and then a very tight right, and it's very easy to skid the car over here. He has to be very careful. And he does this in a nice way. So this is a good stretch. And then we have a left-hander, and that gets very tricky, because if you go slightly wide, then it's very easy to hit the barrier. So yes, he goes down to 2nd, and that's a good exit.
Very, very close to the wall on the exit, don't you think?
Yeah, it's very tricky over there. It's very easy to hit the wall, and you need to have a good exit here, because this is a very long straight and you can easily lose about 0.3 of a second.
I think Tyson is right there on the straight as well. I mean, if he would have been a couple of tenths closer to Tyson. I mean, Monk is setting purple sectors, but I think if he had been a couple of tenths closer to Tyson, he would have gotten a wonderful slipstream. But I think with Tyson's slower pace, he's just going to give way. So there's one opportunity gone. This corner, I like about what I like about this corner is that because it's very, very tight on the exit. You try to get as early of an exit as possible, but you also have to be very, very careful, because if you run onto the grass, then this entire sweeping section is just ruined. So Pleb, why don't you take us through Monk's onboard right now?
So I think these set of corners are very important because you can gain a lot of time, especially this one. The entry is a bit off here. It's a late apex, so you take it and you should be confident in giving it full throttle towards the exit. Here as well, you hit both the apexes and you can run a bit wide over here. That is safe. You don't get penalized. The track limits are a bit lenient in certain areas. So let's see what he does. He does a 3:26.4. Okay, that puts him in P1.
That was
And
a
I
very,
think
very fast lap from Wildest Monk, but I don't think he's still reached his potential in terms of the fastest time. Sushi
I
is
think-
about to reach the final point, and he does a 3:26.1. Monk would be absolutely mad at that. Wonderful, wonderful drive from Sushi.
so Zolo is coming in hot, so I think he might top them.
Wow.
Oh my god.
1,000th of a second between
The
Sushi
top three
and
guys
Zolo.
are so close.
Look at that, 0.001.
One.
Wow, what an amazing lap. Okay, so while we're waiting for the grid to form for the starting of the race, obviously Monk is in third position. I know his AMG has a wonderful start once the lights go out, but we're looking at all of these guys: Sushi, Zolo, the Wildest Monk, Fierce B, Crispy Bacon, Karan, Tyson, and Junior. Tyson having a very, very good lap considering this is his first time. So what we're going to do is we're going to set a replay marker for the start of the race. Just wait for the lights. We have 3, 4, 5 red lights, just waiting for the lights to go out. And the lights are green.
We're
Everybody is off. I think Ankur gets a very, very good start. Look at that. He's already in first. Zolo is trailing him in second. Third is Tyson. Look at that guy. Where did he come from? Amazing.
I think a lot of guys, it also depends on the start, right? Some cars are really good on.
Ankur had an event there. Ankur is now down into 8th position. I think he got collected by Tyson.
It's a very tricky corner. I think a lot of guys went wide. Things at a time, I think there were 3 people going wide into the corner. So I think even the next corner, people are going really wide into it, and a lot of people. Okay, I think they kind of managed it.
Yeah, I think they managed
Zolo
it on
did lose
that
out.
corner. Zolo lost out a couple of places. Wildest Monk is in last. So while these guys are going through, I wanted to see if you're able to get a look at what happened to the Wildest Monk.
And as we are saying that, Abhi, I think Tyson has lost it. He has spun out in his vantage.
Oh no. So Tyson is now back into 8th position. We're looking at the live feed right now. We're going to go back to the replay if we can. Okay, so I want to stay on the Wildest Monk, to be honest. Look at this view. We're inside his cockpit. He gets a very, very good start. So we'll just stay here if we can. Look at that. Look at the start he gets. Overtakes Sushi marker, makes like he's not even there. He's already gotten quite a big gap. Now look at Tyson as well. He got a wonderful start. So Monk lifts off just that little bit, tries to get into the corner, tries to straight line it, breaks it in time, gets hit by Zolo just a little bit, and
we have another issue. Oh my god, I think Sushi Maker has spun out. Yep.
wow, so Sushi, it's just taking him a long time to get back on, isn't it?
I think he lost it on the exit of those consecutive corners. They are a set of tricky corners, so that's unfortunate for him.
Wow. Okay, so this race just opened up. I'm looking at Bukaran in the Porsche. So he's quite a lot behind Crispy Bacon, who might be on an alternate strategy. I'm also looking at the chat. It's going crazy, especially with that qualifying time. 0.001 says Shehbaz. That is correct. It was an amazing lap from those guys. Brown Eyed Jesus says, come on, number 6. I'm not sure who he's referring to on there because the positions have since changed. So I'm really sorry. And Dan Lord says Sushi got robbed.
Oh no! I think we're missing out on some action on track over here. Monk and Junior Kikaz, they kind of collided, and that has slowed Monk down. He has lost position to Zolo. I think he's trying to push to make as many places as he can because of the incident on T2. So I think it's going to be a tough race for him. He has to make up a lot of plays. I think Crispy is 6.8 seconds ahead. So it's going to be,
I'll
he has
try
to
and
push.
check if our replay cameras got that by any chance. So look at Junior. They're going into the... Oh, Junior just understeers into the Wildest Monk. It doesn't look like the Wildest Monk did anything. I'm gonna see if we can get a different angle on that. So we're gonna go on board on the replay. Look at that. So these guys are trying to go side by side. Junior,
Yeah,
I think he
that's a
just
big amount of understeers.
Yeah, exactly. He just understeers, and Wildest Monk is not really having that good of a race, is he?
This worked out quite well for Crispy, APS, and Bukaran actually, because they have now pulled a gap of around 4 seconds, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
And actually, this affects the strategy of Zolo and Wildest Monk, so it's just getting exciting actually even more.
Let us see how much fuel they're on. I think Zolo, I think knowing the Mazda, since it's quite good on fuel, it does have more fuel. Monk has spent a bit of his fuel. I think Zolo is quite good on fuel compared to the top 3 guys. So maybe he's on a different strategy.
Okay, so this race just opened up for everyone, right? Crispy Bacon is in P1 with a 2.9 second gap to all of the other guys. Fierce B is in second position. He's being followed by Karan in third. Karan is still not in the slipstream range to Fierce B, but Zolo is. So these two guys are going hammer and tong for the race position, and the more they fight, the more it gives an opportunity to the Wildest Monk to go and catch up to them. The only problem that I see
catching
here,
up, yeah.
yeah, so he is catching up, that's for sure. The only problem that I see here is if Monk would have decided for, like, let's say a one-stop strategy, I think that's out of the window now. So he has to go hard onto the floor.
Yeah.
He has to keep on pushing and hope that a two-stop works out for him at the end. What do you think?
Yeah, I think he is short shifting as well. So maybe he's trying to save as much fuel as he can for even a two-stopper so that, he can refuel less later on. And he's also catching up to Crispy. I think it was 6.5 seconds a lap ago, and now it's down to 5.2 seconds. So maybe I think this would be a good chance for all these 3 guys, Bukaran, Monk, and Zolo, to work together and see if they can catch up to Fierce B and Crispy Bacon. That is what I would do, at least. Don't you think? That would be a good strategy
Well,
for
I'll
them.
ask that question to Vedu. Vedu, you've done these races in the past. You've secured second position in the last 2 races. What are your thoughts on Wildest Monk?
I think so. The gap between him and the leader is about 5 seconds, and he lost a couple of time to those incidents. He could actually try to save some fuel now. That could be the best option for him. So get some slipstream, try to save his tires, and try to run as far as possible, and hopefully make a one-stopper work. But that is very tricky. So let's see how it goes. But I would just recommend to save the tires and the fuel, short shift as much as possible.
I mean, that definitely sounds like a plan, but this man right here, Crispy Bacon, he was about 2.9 seconds ahead of Fierce B. The gap is now down to 1.5. Now, because these guys might be on different strategies, let's look at telemetry data for Crispy. So he's at about 50% fuel.
Oh, Zolo has spun.
Yeah,
He's into the
I
barriers.
just saw that in the background, so you might be able to go back and look at that. Let's see if our replay cameras caught that by any chance. So we're going to stay on Zolo. Just gets it a little bit out of control on the exit and just bumps into the wall. That's just bad timing for him.
I mean, I think he's lucky that it happened on that corner, so because he just went into the barriers. I think if it was any of these other corners, he would have gone into the sand pit, and then it would have taken him another 10 seconds just to get back on track, and he would have lost a lot of track position there.
Absolutely. So Dan Lord asking where Sushi is. He's in 6th position, about 12 seconds from the lead, and about almost 6 seconds from Zolo in 5th position. So he's not really having a very good race because he spun himself on the bridge, and once he did that, it was very, very difficult for him to straighten the car up, and I think that's where he lost a lot of time.
Yep, he did lose a lot of time, and he's also quite low on fuel, so I don't think he is fuel saving much. He's probably just going to go for a 2-stopper. Who knows, maybe if someone else is on a 1-stopper, he might be close to them towards the end of the race, but we'll have to see.
Absolutely. So Crispy Bacon is now under attack from Fierceby. Look at that. About less than 7.5 tenths. So Fierceby is now into slipstream range. Do you think we're going to see him make a move? I just saw him lift and coast. So I think this is the perfect place for him to just save some fuel. And even if he is on the same strategy as Crispy Bacon, might as well just jump him in the pits, because the fuel load, it doesn't look drastically different. What do you think, Vedu?
So the fuel of Crispy Bacon looks similar to what we have with Monk, and Monk has saved quite a good amount of fuel now. They are actually matching each other in fuel loads right now. PS is running a bit low, and he may have to jump to the pits sooner. But Crispy and Wildest Monk should be able to stretch it, so that could get a bit interesting. And even Zolo is catching them up now.
Absolutely. So I'm looking at Monk's telemetry information, and PSB in 2nd position. It's very, very similar. Monk has just a little bit more fuel, but okay, so this is the interesting bit. Crispy Bacon and the Wildest Monk have the same amount of fuel. So I think Monk is doing a good job, just, keeping himself in the race. But we'll have to wait for, I think, another, like, at the end of this lap, to be honest, to see who tries to pull the trigger. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think right now Crispy and Fierceby are fighting. So this is giving a good chance for Monk to close the gap. And I think Fierceby is going into the pit. Yeah, he's into the pits.
All right, so
maybe
Fierceby pulls the trigger. He goes into the pit, so that means he's doing a 2-stop. There's no way he can do a 1-stop from here. These guys...
Even Sushi Maker is into the pits. So I think even he's on...
Yeah.
Yeah, I think even he's on a 2-stopper then.
Absolutely. Crispy Bacon and the Wildest Monk are top 2 from the last couple of races. This is a very nice battle between these two, right? So starting from the very, very first race, which Ankur won, the Wildest Monk, and Crispy Bacon came, I think he was 2nd. On the 2nd race, Crispy won, and Ankur, with an alternate strategy, came 2nd. So these guys are tied and equal on points. I think this is a very good opportunity for them. I mean, we're definitely going to see somebody take the lead in the championship today, hopefully. So it looks like both of them have committed themselves to a 1-stop, which is a good thing, because all the drivers around them are making mistakes. Even the pole sitter Sushi made quite a big mistake. So it's practically impossible for Sushi to, I think, catch up to these guys. He might be able to get somewhere close to 3rd, but even that looks improbable based on Zolo's telemetry information. So the podium is kind of fixed, I would say, at least in my experience. But Vedu, you are the one who has been running this track. You've been practicing all the time. You know all of the different sector times. You know how much time you lose based on which strategy you are. What are your thoughts on what we might see in the podium at the end of the race?
I'm quite interested to see how the race turns out for Zolo, actually, because he has saved more amount of fuel than Crispy and the Monk, and that means that he would spend less time in the pits, and he should be quite ahead in front of these two guys. So let's see how it goes at the end of this lap, because all should be going to the pits right about at the end of this lap.
Okay. I think we'll just have to wait and see. Pleb, do you think there's another lap in it for the Wildest Monk and Crispy Bacon?
No, I don't think so. I think they should be putting in now. I think both of them. I'm not sure about Zolo. I don't know if that is enough for another lap.
I think Zolo has another lap in the bag for sure.
Yeah, I think he might have more. But we should see. I think this would be a good chance for Fierce B to put in some good outlaps. Because if he can set a good time here, maybe he can make his two-stopper work compared to these guys who are on a one-stopper.
The ideal strategy for Zolo would be to pit now because the undercut is also pretty strong over here. It's a very long track, and with this tire wear, he will lose about 1 or 2 seconds easy. So the ideal strategy for him would be to pit. Let's see what he does.
But don't you think if he stays on towards the end of the race, he might have enough fuel to actually push while the other guys are, slowing down? So Crispy Bacon goes into the pits,
all three,
Wildest Monk and Zolo. So all
of them are in the pits.
Zolo
does have more fuel.
Yeah, so I think Zolo might be able to jump someone,
I guess.
Yeah, I think so. Bukaran comes into the pits as well. We're gonna look at Fierce B.
Be interesting.
We'll just wait to see what Fierce B does, yeah. Okay, so
he's
yeah, he actually just pitted on the last lap, so he's gonna go there.
He's on a two-stopper.
Yeah.
And it's Zolo who comes out first.
Wow.
So he has a very good track position right now.
So Zolo with
3 seconds.
He has underfuel.
Oh, I did not notice that. Yeah, he does seem to have underfuel.
So he's only fueled by I think he's only gone up like 70% fuel. Crispy Bacon is 100%.
But I don't know if that is enough though for the remaining half of the race.
Exactly. So I'm pretty sure Zolo just gave up because he's practically underfueled the car. Look at Crispy Bacon and Wildest Monk. They both have 100% in their fuel tank. So Zolo might be able to hold this off for maybe another couple of laps, but then I don't think even a couple of laps. He's short shifting
a lot. If you notice his rev ranges, but I don't know if that is enough. I mean, I think since Crispy and Monk have full tanks, they should be pushing right now, and they will easily catch up to Zolo. And I think when they do, it's probably going to get a bit intense for one of them because they are definitely going to battle it out. And I don't think Zolo will give his place away that easy. And you also have Fierce B who has to pit in once more. So it's quite interesting.
Okay. So I'm also looking at the chat. Sheva says, I'm Zolo's engineer. It's my plan. He's in for a 2-stop. Okay. I guess we'll just have to wait and see how much that works out for him. But I'm excited for Crispy Bacon and Wildest Monk. And these guys are very, very close to each other. Sushi is now into 5th position, but I think he has to go and pit once again. He has about 50%. Oh, you know what? This might be interesting. So Sushi is in 5th position. He has about 45% fuel left. If he can manage this well, just stay behind these guys, manage his fuel as much as he can, he might be in with a shout, don't you think?
But I don't think that is what he is doing. He seems to be making as many places as he can. And he is revving out the Supra a bit more than usual. So maybe he just wants to gun it and just keep up the fast pace and see where that ends him. So
I think that's exactly what he's trying to do. But then it's also helping out Crispy Bacon because he gets the slipstream and Monk gets the slipstream from Crispy. I mean, I think Monk is just that little bit far back, so he's out of slipstream range. Crispy Bacon is still in slipstream range from Sushi Marker. So this is played brilliantly for Dwayne, aka Crispy Bacon. Vedu, what are your thoughts?
I wanted to mention that Zolo has now pulled about 6 seconds from Tsushimaka, and he's putting a nice gap. Tsushimaka he's gunning it, but let's see, because the pit stop, the time lost for pit is about 33 seconds over here. If you do a full fuel for 3 laps, and if you change the tires, the time lost is about 33 seconds. So it could get a bit risky to cover this much of time. But let's see how it turns out for Shimaka now.
Absolutely. So we're now looking at Karan in the Porsche, kind of like in a no man's land. He's about 13 seconds behind Wildest Monk, and he's 23 seconds ahead of Junior Kickass in the Nissan GTR. Tyson, he got a wonderful start, didn't he, at the beginning of the race? But
Yep, he did.
it's just the consistency, and I think this this entire tournament is designed keeping consistency in mind, with these longer races with different strategies all around.
And I think
Go ahead, Pleb.
he's probably unfamiliar with the track as well, because I don't think many of the guys have raced like many races on this track. So it does take some time to get familiar with this track. That is for sure. So maybe he's having a tough time on a new track.
Absolutely, but what I would say is it's good that he's here. He's trying his best. Obviously, the pace is there. It's just that he needs to build on the consistency just that little bit. But I'm sure he'll get there. I mean, everybody of us has been there at some point, right? Just at the back of the grid, doing nothing but just trying to be as competitive as you can with what you're dealt with. So going back to the Wildest Monk, now he's still in that. He's still just off the slipstream range from Crispy Bacon. Sushi has pulled away from those guys. He's about 3.7 seconds ahead. Vedu, I wanted to pose this question to you because obviously there are two different strategies at play. Crispy Bacon, Wildest Monk, they've gone for the one stop. Zolo, Fierceby and Sushimaka, they've gone for a two-stop. Now, obviously, the pit loss is somewhere close to 30 seconds. Do you think these guys might be able to build or claw that gap back up once they pit, or do you think this is now a top position race between Crispy and Wildest Monk? Oh. Before you answer that, Vedu, Zolo made a brilliant move on Fierceby. I'm just going to check if our replay cameras caught that. So Zolo comes into the corner side by side. He's just ahead, breaks just a little bit later. Made the move stick and goes into first position. So Zolo is pushing now. He's committing to a two-stop. He's pushing, trying to get as much of a gap as he can. Coming back to you, Vedu, are you still there?
Yeah. So that was a really nice move by Zolo. So what could happen is this guys are about 10-11 seconds ahead of Crispy and Monk, and they would need to pit unless they are very good at fuel saving. So Monk and Crispy should be able to jump this guys. So let's see how it goes.
Yeah, and while we're talking about that, Sushi and Fierceby
have pitted.
They have pitted. So I'm going to stay on Fierceby. He has a little bit more fuel, while it looks like Crispy Bacon and Wildest Monk have gone through. So these guys are now fueling up, getting ready for the last stint of the race. And this is going to go very, very exciting towards the last lap or so. What do you think?
Yeah, I think Crispy and Monk are working together. They don't seem to be fighting. So they are keeping a good pace and they have enough fuel. So I think they and Zolo is going to have to pit for sure. So I think it's going to be Monk versus Crispy towards the end.
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm thinking as well, because Zolo, I'm looking at his fuel information, so he has to come in probably this lap or next lap. He can't do two full more laps on this one, so he has to pit. Crispy Bacon and Wildest Monk still very, very close to each other.
I think they are really in a good fight for this, for I think for the entirety of this championship. So it's P1 and P2. So it's going to be quite interesting seeing how they work together towards the end of the race.
Absolutely. Vedu, what are your thoughts on Crispy and Wildest Monk?
We are fuel saving a lot, and it's going to get exciting in a couple of laps. But they are saving the tires pretty well, and the fuel levels are pretty good. So it's going to heat up in a couple of laps for the top place.
Absolutely. So while these guys are trying to, save some fuel, get out ahead, I'm gonna stay with Fierce B in fourth position. Now he's about 17 seconds behind the Wildest Monk, and it looks like because Wildest Monk and Crispy are,
The gap,
the gap is increasing between them.
yeah, and 17 seconds is a lot of time for him to make up, especially since there is just under 6 minutes remaining right now. So it's going to be a tough task for FSB to try to catch up to P3 and P2. But it might be a good.
But the thing is, Fierce
battle
B,
between-
because Zolo pits, Fierce B
Yeah.
inherits P3 once Zolo. Oh, you know
They
what?
might
It might
be
be very,
very
very
close to each other.
Yeah, because Fierce B is about 31 seconds behind Zolo.
Exactly.
This is going to get very, very close when Zolo actually decides to pit. So he's coming up towards the end of the lap. Vedu, you were saying something. Go ahead.
Yeah, because this. Happy Zolo would only have to fuel for about 2 laps.
Right.
So let's see how it works out, because he could be 5-6 seconds in front of PS. Let's see what happens here now.
Okay, so Zolo is going into the pits.
He's going to the pits.
We're gonna stay with Wildest Monk for now. I think these guys are definitely gonna overtake. So Aditya
Yeah.
in the chat says Monk setting up Dwayne perfectly. Yes, I know. I would have done the same thing if I was in Monk's position. Just give him a false sense of security that I'm willing to work together, and then just do that betray him at the end. Very reminiscent of our first race pleb in the Penta Esports challenge, don't you think?
Yep, it is.
Okay, so Zolo comes out of the pits. He is 11 seconds ahead of Fierce B. Wow. So he has made
I
the
think-
two-stop work. He is in third position. He's 8 seconds behind Wildest Monk with 4 minutes of the race to go. Do you think this is going to get tense between these guys?
I think if Zolo did not have any issues through the race, and just as we say, I think he goes a bit wide. But yeah, I think initially he had a couple of incidents. So I think if he had kept it clean throughout the entire day, that gap might be even less. So he might have been able to put up a fight with Monk and Crispy. So I think two-stopper is still possible. But I think it all depends on what track position you're on. So if you're like much ahead, like either in P1 or P2, then you can make it work. But I think if you're somewhere in the back, I think maybe one stopper might be a better choice.
Yeah, but we also have to remember that Monk actually lost out quite a lot at the
Exactly.
beginning of the race. So I think Monk had this win in the bag, quite honestly. And it's commendable that he fought from almost the back of the grid. I think he was at the back of the grid at one point. So from there coming to, fighting for the lead of the race is absolutely brilliant driving. And he's maintaining that gap as well. So Zolo is making a few mistakes here and there. Fierce Speed took about 2 seconds out of Zolo's time. So this might get interesting because Fierce B is obviously in a faster car in a straight line. The Supra is very, very quick in the straights. And look at that gap between Zolo and Fierce B. It's about 6.7 seconds. At the beginning of this lap, when Zolo came out of the pits, it was about 11 seconds as he exited. It was about 9 seconds as he went through turn 1. So it's about 3 seconds that Fierce B has gained in about, quarter of a lap. So this might get very, very interesting between those guys. And also Sushi, who is about 2.9 seconds behind Fierceby. And he's going really, really quick in that Supra as well.
No, I feel all of these guys would have been very closely bunched up if it was not for any of their incidents. I think both these strategies would have worked for some, and for others, I think one stopper would have been better. What do you think, Vidu? I think you're just about to say something.
So I think Zolo should have fueled for full 100%. So that maybe had lost him his strategy. And also to mention, maybe he didn't change his tires, so he was able to jump Pierce in the pits during his second stop, and that's why he's now struggling and he's losing time to Pierce.
Oh, you know what? That makes a lot of sense, because if he's on older tires,
he is.
He is, right? So Fierceby will gain on him, at least in the corners, you know, the entry and exit to the corners. But the gap hasn't really come down much since we last spoke about it.
And I think right now it is going to be the final lap for these guys.
Yeah.
We have 50 more seconds remaining. And if Monk has to make a move on Crispy within this lap. So
absolutely. So if Monk wants to make a move, he has to make it on this lap. He's going for it. He makes the move on the inside, but I don't think that's a great place to make a move, because Crispy now gets the run on him behind him on the slipstream. But also to the effect. Yeah, go ahead, Pleb.
Yeah, I think he needs to maintain this gap right now. It's vital that he stays within the slipstream. If he loses that slipstream, then he's going to drop back, because the AMG is slightly quicker than the RCZ. So it's very, I think it would be very important for him to stay within that 7/10 gap.
Yeah, let's look at the move that Monk made going into turn, I'm going to call it turn 3. So he gets a good run, brakes just a little bit later, goes on the inside, parks his car on there, so Crispy does not get a cutback, and I think that was a brilliant move as well.
And I think now he has pulled out almost a second from Crispy. I think, you know, sometimes it is good to make a move early on the final lap, because you might be faster and, you know, you might be able to get a gap going between you and guy behind you. So I think in Monk's case this time it has worked out perfectly, because now he has 1.2 second lead and he can just maintain that. He just has to maintain it and the race is his.
Monk actually played it very smart, because he stayed behind in train for like a couple of laps and he was able to save a lot of fuel. And if you see Chris's telemetry now, he's running on fumes and he has to make the lap.
And he's out of slipstream range as well, so he can't catch up to Monk.
Yeah, so I don't think Crispy has much fuel left. I'm going to switch back to the times as well. So yeah, Zolo is catching up. He's about 5.2 seconds, 5.1 seconds behind Crispy. I don't think there's enough time for Zolo unless Crispy Bacon just runs out of fuel at the end. But look at that. He just took out half a second in that one corner, almost a second in just like a few seconds in the race. So this is going to get interesting. Monk is now out. He's about 1.4 seconds in front. He is going to get P1 for sure, unless he bins it somewhere. It's going to get interesting between Zolo, Crispy and Fierceby. So Fierceby is not gaining for sure, but Zolo, look at that. He's now just 3.6 seconds, but I don't think there's enough time.
No, there is. Yeah, he could have made the strategy work had he not underfueled, I feel.
And as we come up to the last race, look at Wildest Monk is taking the first place in Group 3.
That was a fantastic race.
That was a fantastic race from the Wildest Monk. Zolo takes 3rd position. Brilliant drive from these guys. Fierceby takes 4th. Sushi just about 1.6 seconds behind Fierceby takes 5th. Karan comes in 6th position, about 22 seconds behind Sushi, but that's a decent position to be in. Junior finished in 7th and Tyson finished in 8th. So all of these guys are going to get points. Absolutely, it's a good exposure for Junior and Tyson as well, and Karan crosses the finish line. Amazing racing. What are your thoughts?
I think a lot of these guys had different strategies, right? I think like Monk, for example, his strategy worked out perfectly for him. Even though he did lose out a lot of places in the beginning, he stuck to his one stopper and made it work. And I think Zolo could have attempted a one stopper. He might have had a different uh, standing at the end of the race. But I think the race is very vital based on your strategy, right? So I think it just depends on what strategy you're on.
Absolutely. Vedu, you've been with us throughout the race. Talk to us about P1 and P2. What are your thoughts?
So it was definitely a very interesting race. Monk played it very smart, saving his fuel even after the crashes. So as I told you, Abby, it's about saving fuel now because Monk had a couple of crashes, but he saved fuel. He's changed his strategy. Unfortunately, Zolo should have not underfueled there because it would have been exciting at the end. And it's good to see the new guys also finishing and updating or changing their strategies midway to make a good race. So it was really exciting today.
Absolutely. Pleb, what are your thoughts on Zolo, Fierceby, and Sushimaka?
Sushimaka, I think he did have some unfortunate incidents at the beginning. He was putting up a good fight, I think, during the initial stages. Like I said, I think if some of these guys had attempted one stopper, it would have been a very close race between like the first five guys. Like the first five guys were very close. I think it's just the strategy that split them apart. So I think, based on what we have seen here today, I think guys from Group A will be, they will really be attempting something different, I guess. Maybe they might change their strategies based on what we saw here.
Absolutely. So I'm also looking at the chat. Congratulations to Monk. Absolutely. Danlord asking the question, so did a one-stopper win? Yes, one-stopper came in first and second. But the two-stopper wasn't really far behind. If he had made, let's say, a couple of fewer mistakes, a few seconds here and there, Zolo would have gotten that second position. He might have even gotten first very easily. Danlord also says Bacon salvaged this race, salvaged this one for sure. Absolutely, I think he was running on fumes towards the end. But I also wanted to give a huge shout out to Karan in sixth position in the Porsche. The Porsche was not really the car that could have helped him do wonders on this track, but still coming into sixth. I think he had a couple of incidents here and there. This is a solid showing from him. Junior coming in seventh in the Nissan. This is Junior's third race, I think, and he has done really well. Gaining as much as he can, at least in qualifying pace. It seems to we're just waiting to see what his race pace is going to be like. And Tyson, his first race, what a brilliant drive from him. Coming out of the start of the race, got a brilliant exit. I think there was a little bit of an incident with Monk, but I think that's more of a learning opportunity for him as well. How to maintain himself when he's in traffic. So a good showing from these guys. Any final thoughts from you guys, Vedu and Pleb?
I think a lot of guys have improved in Group B based on how we are seeing right now. So this is a good chance for the back end of the standings, like the guys in P6, P7. It's a good chance for them to improve and test out different strategies for different races. So it gives you a good idea of how people are driving, right? It's always a learning. It's always an opportunity to learn, even though you might not be coming in places that that you thought you might. But I think all in all, it was definitely a very fun race because I expected two stopper to win, but Monk and Crispy definitely showed that even one stopper is possible. So it's definitely going to be a very fun race with Group A as well tomorrow.
Ved, what are your thoughts?
Absolutely, Play, because many of the guys are new, and it's good to learn. Because
Yep.
some of the guys today we noticed like they changed their strategies midway, and that helped
Mm,
them clinch the win. So it's all about experience. We are still midway through the league. Let's see how we go through the next races, and those are going to be exciting as well. So looking forward to those.
Perfect. To everyone who tuned in for the full race, thank you so much for your time. I know spending an hour on a Saturday evening
yep.
is, watching
Yes.
watching a few people race on a fictional circuit with fictional cars isn't really the ideal scenario. But thank you so much for taking out the time to support the community, and we could not have done this without you. So from Sim Nation India, this is Abhishek. Thank you once again for your time. We will see you tomorrow for the Group A race, and that is going to be a doozy. The top 11, 12 guys in the country just battling it out. Constant overtakes, constant battles, not just on the track, but in their mind as well. Thank you again for watching. Wishing you a wonderful evening ahead.